from the soundtrack to Me Before You, which we're going to speak about in just a few minutes. But first, we're going to hear a clip. We're also going to hear from one of the stars, Sam Claflin.
Tell me something.
About what?
Anything.
Well, when I was little, my mum got me a pair of glittery wellies, and I refused to take them off. I wore them in bed, in the bath, all summer long. My favourite outfit was the glittery boots and my bumblebee tights.
Bumblebee tights.
Black and yellow stripes.
Oh, dear God.
I really, really, really liked having stripy legs.
So what happened to these gorgeous wellies and stripy tights?
I outgrew them. It broke my heart. And they don't make those tights anymore, not for grown women anyway.
Strange, that.
Oh, you can mock. Didn't you ever love anything that much?
Yes. Yes, I did.
The moment I knew what it was about, the sort of the issues that it was tackling, the sort of journey that Will goes on and was going on. I mean, from the moment the motorbike hits him, page 3 maybe, I was hooked. Purely because I didn't see it coming. Like, I had no idea what was about to happen. I went in blind and was surprised at every turn. And I think the more I read on, the more I kind of fell in love, and the more I was moved, and the more I realised there was a lot of challenges that I'd have to face if I was lucky enough. And I love a challenge. So, first of all, I was hugely intimidated by Janet McTeer and Charles Dance, purely because of their height. Because I'm such a big fan of their huge body of work, and have been for years and years. So kind of having the opportunity to have legends in my mind, kind of portraying my parents, was quite intimidating. But then having Emilia, who I kind of knew already, felt like she was my kind of comfort blanket. I think we were kind of in it together. And what was great is Thea, the director, really, really embraced us as a family and kind of allowed us to really throw our ideas out and kind of accepted us and allowed us to kind of be free and to explore the story, deeply. And Jojo, especially Jojo Moyes on the set, she was, incredible. So yeah, we were blessed with a very, very beautiful family.
That's Sam Claflin talking about Me Before You, which we are going to review right now. So, the plot of the film is that Louisa Clarke is a plucky and vibrant girl in the countryside, played by Emilia Clarke. She loses her job in a cafe and struggles desperately to find a new one. And she happens upon Will Traynor, a posh playboy banker, hit by a motorcycle while walking to work, and that leaves him a quadriplegic, which means he loses the use of all 4 limbs and renders him in a wheelchair. The two meet when Louisa applies to work as Will's carer at his home, a job which has seen many come and go because of Will's lack of cooperation due to his situation. Will is impossibly stubborn, but Louisa is a bubbly and determined girl and refuses to give up on him. So we've got a few things there. We've got a young man and a young woman. So who knows where that might end up? And we've also got this whole thing that Will is quadriplegic. So it's two big things to sort of get right. Mm-hmm. You've got to really please the fans of the book as well. Yeah. So do you think we are successful here?
So I'm a sucker for a good rom-com love story, and I found it to be sweet and incredibly British attempt at a rom-com, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, and it's kind of driven by 2, I think, charismatic leads. Mm-hmm. I think they both do well. Emilia Clarke particularly, because she treads a line between really annoyingly twee and just horribly annoying. Yeah. But she does it well, and it only occasionally kind of falls into being too kind of saccharine and too syrupy and sweet.
I know there are some people who think she's like truly unsufferable, but I think it depends how you feel about Emilia Clarke as an actress, really, doesn't it? Like, she's got that sort of quirky charm that other actresses don't have. And I think she sells it well. I think she pulls it off.
I think part of it is because I imagine that's Emilia Clarke being Emilia Clarke for a lot of it. I think that's just her. Yeah. And that's just her natural kind of charm coming through the part.
I think let's get straight to the big issue that's on that everyone's kind of talking about at the minute, is the fact of its portrayal and its use of disability as part of its story. The film was picketed last week, as people were protesting this film from the disabled community, saying that it kind of treats it like disability porn is one of the terms that's being used as a way of sort of exploiting disabled people to get a bit of emotion into the film and sort of wring out any kind of emotion that it can. And I can see why people are quite upset. The film takes a very bold standpoint when you think about it. Like, euthanasia is something that is kind of not everyone's on the same page. So to take a bold stance as this film does is quite something. Whether you like the film or not, it is. It's very strong to its morals.
Yeah, I think I came out of it and I thought about it a bit, and I enjoyed it and I liked it, and I kind of stuck with it, and I thought a bit more, and then I thought it was very brave of it to have the conviction. I've not read the book,
no,
so I'm guessing it was the conviction of the original source material. And I thought about it a lot, and I thought that if this had been like a big Hollywood production, maybe it would have shied away from that and changed it so everyone was kind of happy at the end. But then I kind of thought about it a bit more, and I can see the issues that they're being raised. And I think Steph, who you mentioned earlier, showed us a quote just before from the director saying that she wanted disability to appear normal. And that disappointed us because I don't think that's the message the film's trying to.
No, I don't think so either.
Normal's not the right word. I think it's more ordinary. That this is just, this is a life. You can live a life. And I think the film's not about somebody deciding they don't want this life. It's like it's about somebody who can't accept the hand he's been dealt.
Yeah.
And I think the main message of the film is how much can you care for someone who doesn't want to be cared for?
Yeah.
And I think that gets lost.
Do you think it gets lost in the sort of the larger plot that kind of unfolds in front, which is the love story?
I think it concentrates too much on those two, on her trying to change his mind when his mind has been made up, and this is it's a life he can't accept. He's been shown all the kind of I think he understands what's still available and still there. So it's not a negative stereotype or portrayal of disability. It's just somebody who I think can't accept and doesn't want to come to terms with a life that he doesn't think was for him.
Yeah.
And I think the film definitely sort of, when it focuses on those two together, her trying to change who he is, it loses that message. And I think that's where the issue comes. And especially with those sort of quotes, I think the director's done herself a bit of a disservice there with that.
It certainly hasn't quelled any of the problems that people have with the film. It hasn't sort of solved anything in particular. It's doing very well in the box office, though. I think that the film, aside from the sort of the controversy and the message of the film, I was entertained by it, which is kind of I wasn't expecting to be. We saw it a few weeks ago earlier, sort of preview screening, and we saw it in a room full of, not to generalise, but it was a room full of women who I imagine have read the book, and I imagine were expecting a lot more from it than me. And I don't think they were disappointed, because you could sort of sense in the room as it came to its end, sort of, it's hard to say, like, you could sort of see, you could feel it in the air that it was sort of sniffles. Yeah. I said last week when we recorded sort of like a bit for the podcast, like moisture, but that's not the word to use, is it?
I'm welling up just thinking about it, to be honest.
I wanted to cry, like with these kind of films. It's kind of the only time I do cry in films. I'm emotionally unavailable, but it didn't make me cry. But I suppose it did come pretty close. Yeah. And that was something I wanted out of this film. I wasn't expecting it to be as funny as it is, even if that kind of it rides the line well. It's not too funny for a film like this. If it was too funny, you'd be a bit worried. And if it's not funny enough, it would be a bit. So it kind of balances it quite well. There's little things. I mean, there's Matthew Lewis's character, Neville Longbottom, otherwise known as, and he plays like a long-distance runner in this film. Yeah. And, I mean, I wonder what the parallel is there. You know, a long-distance runner. He always wants to get away from the relationship, and he's a really committed boyfriend. And that was a bit like... And I know that's come from the book. Yeah. So it's just...
There's a scene between him and Sam Claflin where he kind of... They're at dinner, and he suggests... putting together a training program for him, and that it's one of them scenes where it's uncomfortable because you don't know if you can laugh or if you don't, and that's kind of what it does well. It confronts, I think, stuff like that, the uncomfortableness and the awkwardness of not knowing what to say and not knowing the right thing in that situation.
I think there's a conflict of interest between the love story and the disability story. I was never bored by it, I'll say that much, and for a film that wasn't essentially targeted at me, I wouldn't say, or our kind of demographic, I did find a lot of like, and I think most of that comes from Emilia Clarke.
Yeah.
I think the fact that she, you know, she's willing to put on the outfits that are a bit cheesy and a bit out of the ordinary. I think she really sells it. I wonder if any other actress could do it the same kind of justice.
There's a definite warmth that comes from her, like just from her being on. She doesn't have to open her mouth, just she can smile and laugh, and there's a definite warmth and a kind of willingness to go with it because of her. Because I think I found it quite manipulative as well, because it knows what it's doing, and you kind of know it's what it's doing, but you'll go with it because it has that charm at the start, you know.
I like the film. The only draw then, I suppose, is the possible moral dilemma. But I mean, it's interesting that it's raised this problem. It's no bad thing for their part because it is getting a lot of publicity for the film.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But I still recommend it. I think it's an interesting film. I think it's a funny film.
I think if you come out of it and it's made you think and it's made you consider stuff or reconsider stuff, then I think it's done its job, and it's done a job. I think it's an important job, but maybe the message got lost in the film. I think is the issue.
That's Me Before You. It's now shown at the Empire Cinema in Sunderland. We've had some responses to this. Cameron Welburn says pretty good, coming from a lad as well. So there you go, another person who doesn't seem to think the film was for them, but did enjoy it in the end. Lauren McLeish, I'm still crying at Me Before You. Everyone should see it and pay attention to the message as well. Nathan Eli, I want to watch Me Before You on Tuesday. Plot was conducted well. Nice moving concept behind it. It was first associated as a love story, but turned into the effect of euthanasia, and people close and loved ones really enjoyed it. So there you go. I think people who have seen it have liked it, even if there's some kind of debate about it. But that's an interesting thing to happen. I think it's interesting that people are raising these problems. So that's Me Before You.